question 5 will be directed to Annabeth Serboff and will be asked by Myrna Stringer.
Following up on a little bit on what you just had talked about, what do you give me 5 essential services that you think the county has to provide?
Wastewater, public safety, which includes several things. You could probably put 3 in that. It includes jail incarceration facilities at all levels, the operation of sheriff, emergency preparedness, public health, because that ties in with homeland security and those kind of issues. Was there more to the question than that?
She just asked for 5.
Okay. On a short one? I thought I counted 5. All public safety issues which would involve at least 4 entities: emergency preparedness, the incarceration facilities, the deputies, the jail, the sheriff's job, and wastewater, public health. That's 5. But public health is a real important one in these days of terrorists and threats.
John Topliker, you're 5 and we're counting.
Okay, I'll make this easy. I agree with Annabeth's 5. And also for the rural areas, public roads, sand and gravel, the grading, the dust control that needs to go on. I represent the rural area. So those are the things. But you know, the focus needs to be on not cutting essential public services. That isn't what I would do as chairman. I would focus on the waste, as I said earlier. There needs to be appointed a citizens audit committee that I would lead in town hall style meetings, and we would go through the budget in detail, and I could point out these things. We talked about, Mr. Eiler earlier talked about the phantom employees. Well, he didn't use the word phantom, but employees that are plugged into the budget to be hired, but they're not hired. And what happens is the department director can then use that money, the savings, for discretionary purposes. Has to come back to the commission and ask to do that, permission to do that, but it's done that way. So these are the things that really need to be looked at, not to talk about cutting essential public services, which is the role of government to provide.
Ed Eiler.
Well, I think you could mention public safety and probably come up with more than 5 areas under that one broad topic. But that would be number 1. You're talking about the sheriff's operation, jail operation, courts, supervising parolees, those kind of activities, emergency communications. All of those are essential components to public safety. Wastewater, we can't exist very well without that service. I would also indicate that I think a priority should be those services that provide opportunities for those with disabilities. JCDS, Johnson County Developmental Supports, is one of those broad county agencies. I think you could not also forget about the importance of the library to our county and to our citizens. Again, it comes back to a process of prioritizing, relating those priorities to the citizens, asking for feedback. That's what's going to have to occur. And I think it's going to have to take leadership from the chair to accomplish that.
John Segal.
Well, it'd make our life easier if we all got rid of the appraiser, but we can't do that. And something that I...
Constitution won't let you do that.
Yeah, right, which was what I was going to get to. Something that I learned when I joined the commission that I didn't appreciate as a citizen was, you know, that the county is actually considered an arm of the state government. And so there is a lot of administrative support that the county absolutely has to do. We have to support the court system. we have to support the sheriff. And we have to support an administrative system of taxation and records keeping and all those kinds of things that are just a pain in the rear end to most of us, but are really necessary for us to have a society that functions. So there's a lot of money that's spent on those kinds of things that we really have very little control over, other than seeing that they operate as efficiently as possible, because they're actually responsibilities that the state of Kansas tells every county they have to do. And so those are the core functions. And so there are the other things that we do to really have a civilized community and operate well and give good services, like Johnson County Mental Health. We could spin that off like Wyandotte County has done, but we've kept it in-house because we think that's the best place to do it. Developmental supports, where folks who have just the unfortunate occurrence of the unluckiness at birth, that have a disability that are going to require our community to help them get along in life and really be the best that they can be. So there's a lot of services we provide, and I wouldn't want to see those kinds of things cut.
Annabelle Serval, 1 minute rebuttal.
Well, with a little more time, I would add one thing to my list, and it's kind of a general thing, but we are mandated in many cases to take care of frail elderly, those with disabilities, and those who fall through the cracks in other ways. So I think that would clearly make me a 6. But that is we are mandated to do many of those services, and many times without money sent to us.
John Kopliker, 1 minute.
Okay. As I said, I don't think that we need to focus so much on the essential services and the role of government. I think we all know that the government should provide for the people what they can't do for themselves as a society. But what we need to focus on, we're going to talk about cuts, is, as I mentioned earlier, that the money that comes out of the construction projects going into an art sculptures fund, where every project has to have at least $75,000 spent on it. That money, in a recession, going on depression era, I don't know how long it's going to last, so say era, we need to look at using some of that money to provide for Meals on Wheels, the frail and elderly, the developmentally disabled. There's money in the budget that can be saved and used for other purposes.
Ed Ollie, 1 minute.
I've given you my list, that's fine.
John Segala, 1 minute.
Well,
There's more to say.
Well, I mean, I can say that, my observation is that most of the services that the county government provides are ones that we hope people never have to access. But if they weren't there, we would not have a very nice society to live in. And we could even say we were uncivilized. So, county government provides services to people who need them most. It's really a government of compassion. But it also works, out there in wastewater. That's not something that we have to do. We could sell Johnson County wastewater to a private company. Not saying that would serve the community well, but we don't have to actually be in that business. And so, we need to make sure that we're funding the things that keep us as a civilized community.
Okay.